World Wrestling Entertainment. So, I have quite a few things I want to get off my chest about WWE, being a former fan of the franchise and being a former fan of Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown and all that shit. So, I used to be a big fan of WWE back when I was a kid in middle school. This was back in 2006. I had a friend who lived down the street from me, and he was into wrestling and shit, and so he got me into watching it. So I started off with Friday Night SmackDown, and then I started watching Monday Night Raw, and I just became hooked with the characters that they had on the show. Like Edge and Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio, The Undertaker, John Cena, so on and so forth. And so basically, WWE as it exists now is no longer what it was, what it used to be. WWE now is marketed towards children, and when I say children, I'm talking like fucking like 5, 6, 7 year olds. They're not fucking preteens. The dialogue and the storylines and shit that they have on the show now is extremely fucking juvenile. And they've placed a greater focus on their women's division, which is funny because the male division or whatever, the men that they have on the show are nowhere near as interesting as the stars of yesterday. They're no more like the Triple H of old, and the Undertaker and Kane in his previous forms, and so on and so forth. Like those types of characters aren't in WWE anymore these days. The superstars aren't interesting. The characters and the storylines aren't interesting, and then, like I said, the juvenile dialogue and the predictable storylines and shit is just ridiculous. And if you're a fan of WWE, I advise you to really pay close attention to what they do on the show. Because their entire game plan is to get people to pay for their stupid ass fucking pay-per-views. So you'll see the same storylines again and again and again and again and again. And that it's just bullshit. The way they try and do the pipe bombs and shit and the rivalries. If you watch the matches themselves, the wrestlers will do pretty much the same thing over and over and over again. And if you watch enough of it, you'll be able to predict the match and whatnot before the fucking match even starts or before it ends, depending on what happens on the show. And I was a fan of WWE when they had this logo. This was the good shit right here, and it's not that anymore. That they changed this image of WWE, the ruthless image that they had. That was WWE in its heyday, and now that's not the case anymore, and that's due to this guy right here. The case of Chris Benoit, who suffered, I believe he suffered from head trauma or something. There was something wrong with his brain or whatever. So this was back in 2007. He killed his wife and he killed his child before committing suicide. And then after that, WWE changed their image forever, and they changed their product, and now the product is shit. It's marketed towards children so they can avoid cases like Chris Benoit now, because that really garnered them a lot of negative publicity in the face of the media and whatnot. And so now we just have a bunch of bullshit as storylines and rivalries, a bunch of wrestlers who aren't interesting, the stupid fucking Daniel Bryan chants and shit, and it's just it's not interesting anymore. They even got fucking this bitch right here, Ronda Rousey, to come on board and join the fucking roster and shit. And she clearly did that shit for the money and whatnot. I mean, this is someone who came from fucking the UFC, and then you go and you join WWE. I mean, the only reason you would do something like that is for the money and whatnot. So it's a publicity stunt to me. And then I'm just tired of seeing certain people on the fucking show and shit. Like John Cena is just way overplayed. This motherfucker should have retired years ago. you know, they can't even give him a fucking rivalry anymore because they've put him over pretty much everyone on the fucking roster and shit. And so it's not even, you know, anything they do with him is not even interesting anymore, you know, because they've allowed him to be on top for so long. They've pretty much destroyed his character and whatnot. And so now he's a joke. And, you know, others, you know, these new superstars like fucking Roman Reigns and shit, like I said, they're not interesting. The fucking audience, the crowd doesn't like him. Every time I see, with Roman Reigns in particular, every time I see him come out on the show, whenever I, you know, flip to this bullshit on, you know, my TV screen and shit, you know, people boo him. No one wants to see him out there and shit. And so, you know, like I said, WWE is a fucking joke now. And, you know, it has been for years. This is nothing new. And so, you know, when it comes to when it comes to WWE and shit, you know, I said fuck WWE years ago. Their product sucks. Their new image sucks, and they're a former shell of what they used to be. So yeah, fuck WWE. It's all bullshit. The only thing they care about is selling, like I said, selling their fucking pay-per-views and shit. Yeah, they don't give a fuck about their fans or anything like that. The fucking superstars are fucking Fruit Loop motherfuckers. Each and every single time they go out to the ring, every fucking episode, they got a new fucking t-shirt on and shit. It's just ridiculous, dude. You know, all they care about is selling a fucking product. That's all it is. It's bullshit. It's horseshit. And yeah, I stopped watching this crap a long time ago. Fuck WWE.